Hi, it's Tessa, and I'm here today to do the My First Time tag, which my friend Deanna tagged me from Deanna's World, and I'll link her video below. So I just got back from the hair salon, and I got some really nice lowlights and highlights put in my hair, and I'm actually really loving it. Why can't I do my hair the same way she does it? Because I can't. I love whenever she blows it out. All right, anyway, enough about my hair. Let's get on with the tag. The first question is, do you still talk to your first love? No, but we are friends on Facebook, so we do get random comments on each other's posts. Other than that, no. Haven't seen him in 20 plus years. What was your first job? Well, my first unofficial job was babysitting. I babysat from a very young age up until I was a senior in high school, and then my first job was right after high school. About 3 months after I graduated, I worked at a grocery store. I was a cashier, and I was there for about 6 months, and I got fired for my first job because, and let me tell you this story because this is ridiculous. The owner of the grocery store wasn't very nice, and one day he put his arm around my shoulder and told me to go sweep the parking lot. He said, "Hey honey, could you go sweep the parking lot?" Because it was raining and there were puddles, and I'm like, unless you figure out what my name is, no, I'm not sweeping the parking lot. And the next day I was fired. So whatever, I didn't want to work there anyway if that guy was going to be a loser. What was your first car? My first car was a 1983 Chevy Chevette with manual steering and no power brakes, and I had arms like a boy when I was driving that car, and I loved that car. I paid $75 for it, and I had it for a really, really long time. Who was the first person to text you today? My mom. She texted me this morning. I texted her first, and then she texted me back. Who was the first person you thought of this morning? My husband. I thought of him first thing this morning because we both had to get up early and get moving. He had to run errands, and I had to go to the hair salon. Who was your first grade teacher? I don't know. But I remember my kindergarten teacher very, very well because she was very, very strict and kind of mean. And I got in a lot of trouble in kindergarten. I got kicked out of my kindergarten class, and I had to go to another one because my kindergarten teacher stuck a girl in a box, and I thought that was really mean. So I took her out of the box, and I got reprimanded for that. And she also used to crack you at the top of your knuckles with a ruler because we would have to write the numbers on a paper from 1 to 100 in columns, and I always missed number 99. So I wrote 98 and then 100, and she would smack my fingers. Where did you go on your first ride on an airplane? I didn't go anywhere because I've never been on a plane, and I never plan on being on one because I will not fly. I don't know if anybody ever saw the original A-Team where Mr. T would have to have a IV drip in order to go on a plane. That would totally be me. Who was your first best friend, and do you still talk? My very, very first friend's name was Georgina, and she, was amazing. And she was so funny all throughout school. I wouldn't say through school we were best friends, but we were always friends. And she was hilarious, and we were in drama club together. And now she lives in California, and she does exciting things with television and voiceovers, and I think she even does audiobooks. So we still talk on Facebook from time to time, and we always still joke that we were each other's very first friend. Where was your very first sleepover? My cousin Chrissy and I slept over at each other's house all the time. We would cry and beg to sleep over at each other's house. We were inseparable, and we are still, to this day, super close. We're 3 weeks apart in age, and we are just each other's super close friend. And we go on vacations together, and we're just really, really close. And the other person I used to stay at her house a lot was my friend Rhonda. I used to stay at her house. I don't know if she ever stayed at mine, but I used to stay at her house. And then her parents let her go to the skating rink, and the skating rink had skating and then dances, and my parents wouldn't let me go, so I would stay at her house, and we would sneak off to the dances. Excuse me, I need a coffee. Who was the first person you talked to today? That would also be my husband. We had to get each other out of bed, get moving. Whose wedding were you in the first time? That would be my cousin Sandy. I was a flower girl. I was 5 years old, and I remember being so excited about being in it, and I got my hair done, and I just realized I still have my old glasses on. Oh, well. I got my hair done and a beautiful dress, and it was just really, really fun. What was the first thing you did this morning? The first thing I did was go to the bathroom, and then I made a cup of coffee, and I went on YouTube and Facebook before I had to get ready to leave. What was the first concert you ever went to? The first concert I ever went to was Pink Floyd, the Division Bell tour, and it was in Three Rivers Stadium in Pittsburgh, which is no longer there. I was 18 years old, and it was a culture shock. Let's just leave it at that. First broken bone. That was my finger. I only ever broke a finger and a toe. And my finger I broke because I had it on the railing of a pool table, and my cousin threw a ball at it. And I didn't go to the doctor. My dad said it'll be fine, and he put a splint on it, and it was fine. It is a bit on the crooked side now, you can see right there, but it's fine. First piercing. Also when I was 5. I think a lot happened in my life when I was 5. I got my first ear holes pierced, and then I have 2 holes in each ear, but I don't wear earrings in them because they like get infected. I did one myself, and then I went in with a needle and a cube of ice and a wall, and it hurt, and it took a long time to get it through there. But I went back and had the other one done by a professional, and they actually made it crooked. So I should have did them both by myself. First foreign country you've been to? Canada. That's the only foreign country I've ever been to. But I haven't been there since they changed the rules, and then now you need a passport, so I haven't been there since. But I've been to Canada many times. Quebec, the Niagara Falls area. Very pretty there. First movie you remember seeing? This is terrible, but we used to go to the drive-in all the time, and it was always horror movies, and I was so little, and I can remember the first movie I ever seen was The Gates of Hell. I'm pretty sure that's what it was called, and I probably had no business being there at my young age, because I was probably, I may not have even been in school yet. And we also went to see, I'll never forget, we went to see Alligators in the Sewer. And still to this day, I always think that maybe there's something in there when I go to the bathroom. When was your first detention? I never had detention. Our school did not do detention. We just had suspension. And I was never suspended from school either, but I was suspended for 3 days off the bus because I swore at the bus driver. And he kicked me off the bus for 3 days. And when my dad found out, he was like, I don't care how you get to school. I am not taking you, and you are not missing. You have to find your way there. And I was 16, and I rode with a girl that lived down the road for 3 days because our school was pretty far away, and there was no way I could walk. It would take me like an hour or 2 to walk there. Who was your first roommate? My first roommate was a girl who was my best friend all through school, like my very best friend. She was my neighbor, and she was my first roommate. What were the first lessons you ever took? Well, the very first lesson I ever tried to take was swimming, but that only lasted 3 days because I almost drowned when I jumped off the 10-foot diving board into 10 feet of water, and the girl was supposed to be there to catch me, and she wasn't. But then I went on in elementary school, and I took the trumpet for a long time. So I played the trumpet, and the last question is, who was the first person beauty related on YouTube you ever watched? That was Makeup by Tiffany D, and that was probably 3 or 4 years ago now. Once I started watching her, and it turned into this obsession with watching all these gurus and beauty girls, and then wanting to do it myself, and just really enjoying the whole atmosphere of that. Learning a lot, and it just fed an obsession that was nestled somewhere inside of me that came out when I started watching these videos. So that is everything, and I thank you for watching. I hope you learned a little more about me, and I appreciate you watching and everyone out there that has been subscribing to me, and I love feedback on my videos. So thank you so much for watching, and I will see you again soon. Bye-bye.